Welcome back. The Supreme Court ruling in a 6-3 decision this past week to uphold federal subsidies on Obamacare, the backbone of the law. Joining me right now is Oklahoma Senator James Lankford to talk more about it. Senator, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Thank you.
You released a video statement reacting to the Supreme Court's decision on King versus Burwell, and you were disappointed.
Oh, extremely disappointed. It was one of those clear cases where the law actually says that it has to be an exchange established by the state. 7 different times it uses the term established by the state. And then the court just said that was inartful drafting, that they couldn't have meant that, because if they'd have written it that way, the way that it actually is to be interpreted, then it would mean it doesn't work. What they actually negate is states actually said they don't want this law. And so for the 34 states that said they don't want it, that ability has now been taken away from them by the Supreme Court, and that is the problem. States should have the opportunity to be able to decide on this law, just like it was actually written into the law itself.
Right. I mean, they certainly interpreted the language different than what the language actually states. And so there's a question there, why the different interpretation? But then on the other side of it, could it be that they interpreted this way, Senator, because they felt that if you had the adverse ruling, then millions of people would be in disarray and not have health care coverage?
So the same thing falls on the other side, though. That's correct. There'd be more than 6 million people that would lose the subsidies that go along with that health care. But instead, there are millions upon millions of people that will have higher premiums next year, have higher deductibles where they can't use it. Physician-owned hospitals are being bled out of the system. The Independent Payment Advisory Board steps in next year and starts to actually determine what parts of health care will be allowed and what part will not be allowed. So there are millions of other people that are hurt by keeping the law as is. Those 34 states said, we want to be able to manage our own health care decisions. They're not being allowed to do that when the law clearly allows them to do it.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about the burdens that you see created as a result of the Affordable Care Act? I mean, we've already seen the cost of health care skyrocket. Many people complain that their costs have doubled, even tripled, in terms of their own premiums.
Right. And there are some key things that are still coming. Next year, for instance, in my state, in Oklahoma, the requests for the increase for premiums are between 11% and 45%, depending on the county for next year. That's a dramatic increase on last year's increase as well. Now the deductibles are so high that many people say, I have insurance, I can't afford to use it, because they used to have co-pays and they used to be able to go in with a $2,000 deductible. Now it may be $6,000, and they just don't have the money to do that. And people don't understand the increase in taxes coming next year, and then what happens, for instance, to union members, that their actual premiums go up because their taxes increase because their health care is too good, according to the administration.
Is there an alternative, though? Is there an alternative? Everyone's saying the Republicans don't have an alternative.
Yeah, that's a good talking point from the left. Quite frankly, the Democrats really wanted this to be knocked out from the Supreme Court as well, because there's so many problems and issues there. There are multiple plans, both in the House and in the Senate. The problem is, with an Obama in the White House, you're not going to get rid of Obamacare. Right. We don't have 67 votes. There are a lot of plans, a lot of conversation out there to give more rights to individuals to be able to choose whatever policy they choose to have, buy across state lines. All those things are all out there. But we're going to have a different president to be able to actually push that through. This was a good moment to protect people from the harmful effects that are coming next year. Now those effects are going to come. Yep. And Democrats are going to have to continue to pay for that at the ballot box. Senator, and Americans are going to suffer. We'll
be watching this really continuing to develop story. Good to talk with you. Thanks so much, Senator. We'll see you soon. Senator Lankford joining us there. That massive hack meanwhile in the Office of Personnel Management, potentially even more damaging than we originally thought. How strong are our country's cyber systems? We're going to talk with the former CEO of Apple. John Scully is with us to talk about that and a lot more. We're looking ahead this morning on Sunday Morning Futures.